all for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My music in general, I'm an alternative hip hop artist. So my goal is to create a sound really that no one's ever really heard before, something unique that actually stands out and is actually marketable. And that's usually been the biggest issue is like how experimental can I really get before people start to really like tune out, you know? And
Mhm.
I spend like hours in the studio really like working on my music and trying to like get everything done. Everything is self-produced, everything is self-done. I even have like my studio with me. You know what I mean? I take it everywhere I go. I saved up for
Yeah,
years to get that going. So yeah, but that's in general my mission statement with my music is creating rap that you haven't heard before, you know?
I like that. I think that's a awesome idea. Can you tell us basically how you got your start?
Yeah. So I met this guy at work. His name was Blind Wheelchair as a rapper. My boy Jack Reed. I love that man, and he really got me started on my whole production journey. And I would produce a couple of projects with him.
Mhm.
And afterward, I actually ended up like making my own project with him that I ended up like not really messing with anymore. I didn't really like it. So I remade it like a lot and I re-released a couple tracks on there, but it's not really available anymore. But that was my start was like I was all the way back in like sophomore year of high school. You know, I'm a sophomore in college now.
Oh, wow. So you started relatively early.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not necessarily late in my journey, in my opinion. I think I've been doing consistent releases only as of recent. So
Mhm.
really, it's just been kind of grinding and honing in on my craft up until now. And I've really been trying to just get myself out there now. Now that I know how to properly execute a track, I can figure out how to market it and become a local name in RVA to actually be worth like having, you know?
Yeah, can you talk to us about like your last song you did?
Yeah. So my last song, Nah, combined a lot of like swing elements because I've been studying jazz here at VCU a little bit. So it combined a lot of swing elements with like the standard four on the floor drive. And I really wanted to make something that didn't sound typical, but at the same time was very consumable.
Mhm.
And I believe I was able to achieve that. The hook was actually the funniest thing because it's literally just me saying nah, you know,
Yeah,
which I just fell in love with in a weird way. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And the whole song is mainly about trying to subvert expectations and trying to just be yourself. You know?
Yeah, we're gonna let the viewers after this interview listen to your song, uh, and we'll make sure to post that.
All
And
right, word.
yeah, so can you tell us like you were talking about the music you do. You want to make it different. How do you find stuff that's different in your mind?
Mainly it's I'm looking for it's what samples I'm flipping and it's how you flip the samples. You know what I mean? If you want to come up with a groove that's not normal, you gotta have a vision of exactly how you do it. And usually like when you're browsing through samples and like you're spending hours in the studio like just listening and listening and listening, eventually something clicks, you know, and then you hear a groove in your head. And I never like to go with the standard trap kind of drums. I usually like to experiment and try to see if I can come up with something that really you can bob your head to that doesn't sound quite normal.
So, what are your goals as a rapper and artist? What are your goals? Would you say?
Essentially, my goal is to get big enough to the point where I can bring people with me, especially in RVA. All right. The scene here is oddly quiet, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I think there can be a lot more buzz than there is. It's there and it's very present and it's very respectable and I love it. That's why I want to see it succeed and I want to be part of the reason it does succeed.
So, going forward, are you going to be releasing anything new or stuff like that? Are you gonna make more music videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, I got a release on the 12th, which is tomorrow, called December Freestyle and it's essentially a lo-fi track that I flipped with the old verse that I had, and I was really able to put together like my first music video with it because I finally got some videography equipment, and I'm really starting to produce music videos and a lot of like visual content to go along with the actual audio that I'm producing.
So can you tell us a little more about your release tomorrow?
My release tomorrow is a lo-fi track that is quite experimental,
Mhm.
but it's mainly an update on how I've been doing, what's going on in my life, and where how I'm going to progress from here, and what I'm going to be doing as an artist. And so essentially, it's a check-in, and it's a good monthly release to have, in my opinion. So I'm pretty excited for its release.
Yeah, we're excited to listen to that. We're gonna make sure to tomorrow's podcast, we're gonna make sure to shout you out there and try get some viewers to come over. With that, what is your social media platform? And can you just tell the viewers where you are and like stuff like that, like your social media platforms?
My main social media platform is Snapchat, but definitely Instagram is a close second. And I'm really trying to move everyone that like follows me on Snapchat over to Instagram, because it's a lot easier to interact with users on Instagram than it is on Snapchat. On like my Snapchat, I'm getting upwards of like 200, 300 views per like post I make on my stories. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And then when it comes to like Instagram, it's nowhere near close to that level of engagement, just because I'd never focused on it until really recently.
Hmm.
But the main platform I'm trying to move people to is Instagram.
Where do
Uh,
you release your music?
I release my music on all platforms as well as on my YouTube channel. You can also find it on my website, www.kunectproductions.com.
All right, we'll make sure to give a link to that. Our website we are making, we'll make sure to put all of that in your profile on there. Um, and basically, the final question is when do you think you're going to be able to start making music? And do you feel like you're going to be a star soon?
The path that I'm going on, I genuinely hope I never blow up to be too big. I
Hmm.
want to make enough money to break even and start saving and investing into things that I believe in, and you know, make a job out of my career and like what I do. And it can really get out of hand really quickly when you get that big. And so my main mission goal is not to be like a superstar, and that's touched on in a couple of my songs, and like how
Hmm.
don't really want to achieve like a super high level of fame. If like I had a dream, it would purely be to just be a good name in RVA and get enough money from gigging and streams to be able to actually save up money and just live my life, because this is all I do. I wake up in the morning to do this.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that people like you are not trying to be as big as everyone else and just be there,
Hmm.
essentially. And I think that's really cool. So thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking with you. We'll make sure to drop all of your contact stuff in the bios, and thanks for being here.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.